The votes for President of the United States are as follows. Joseph R. Biden, Jr. of the state of Delaware has received 306 votes. Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida has received 232 votes.
After a nearly 4-hour violent standoff inside the nation's capital, Congress reconvened Wednesday night to certify Democratic President-elect Joe Biden's Electoral College win in the November election.
We know that we would be part of history in a positive way today, every 4 years, when we demonstrate again the peaceful transfer of power from one president to the next. And despite the shameful actions of today, we still will do so.
Now, I've traveled the world with Joe. I hoped he lost. I prayed he would lose. He won. He's the legitimate president of the United States.
Earlier that day, around 2 p.m., pro-Trump rioters jumped barricades and smashed windows, quickly overwhelming police and storming the Capitol building.
And we'll stand in recess until the call of the chair.
We'll pause.
Protesters are in the building.
Thank you.
Lawmakers were interrupted, evacuated, and ordered to lock themselves in their offices as hundreds of rioters entered the building. Some could be seen throughout the building waving Trump and American flags and cheering from the balconies as thousands of other people surrounded the building. One woman was shot by Capitol Police, and 3 others died in the unrest. About an hour before the violence broke out, President Trump spoke to supporters at a rally.
We're going to walk down Pennsylvania Avenue. I love Pennsylvania Avenue. And we're going to the Capitol. We're going to try and give our Republicans, the weak ones, because the strong ones don't need any of our help, we're going to try and give them the kind of pride and boldness that they need to take back our country.
At Trump's speech in the morning, it seemed like a fairly contained, fairly organized event.
Pull them this way!
But at the Capitol, things really changed, and it suddenly felt out of control, and you weren't sure which way things were going, where the energy in the crowd was going.
President-elect Joe Biden condemned the violence and called for the certification of the Electoral College results to continue.
This is not dissent. It's disorder. It's chaos. It borders on sedition. And it must end now. I call on this mob to pull back and allow the work of democracy to go forward.
Shortly after he spoke, President Trump posted a recorded video on social media.
It was a landslide election, and everyone knows it, especially the other side. But you have to go home now. We have to have peace. We have to have law and order.
The video was later removed by Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook for violating their policies. Facebook's VP of Integrity said, "This is an emergency situation, and we removed it because on balance, we believe it contributes to, rather than diminishes, the risk of ongoing violence." Trump later tweeted, "These are the things and events that happen when a sacred landslide election victory is so unceremoniously and viciously stripped away from great patriots who have been badly and unfairly treated for so long. Go home with love and in peace. Remember this day forever." Following that tweet, Twitter locked the president's account for 12 hours and warned that further violations could lead it to permanently suspend the president's account. The violence at the Capitol prompted District of Columbia Mayor Muriel Bowser to declare a 6 p.m. curfew, and more than 1,000 D.C. National Guard troops were called in to help maintain order. 1,000 New York National Guard members will also be deployed. Some White House staffers resigned following the events of the day, including a top National Security Council official and the First Lady's Chief of Staff and Press Secretary. The scenes of violence drew condemnation from leaders around the world.
What happened today in Washington, D.C. is not America, definitely. We believe in the strength of our democracies.
As rioters broke into the Capitol around 2 p.m. Wednesday, Lawmakers had just begun discussing a challenge by some Republican lawmakers to the vote tally in Arizona, a debate that exposed a deep divide within the party.
What does it say to the nearly half the country that believes this election was rigged if we vote not even to consider the claims of illegality and fraud in this election? And I believe there's a better way.
If this election were overturned by mere allegations from the losing side, our democracy would enter a death spiral. We'd never see the whole nation accept an election again.
When Congress reconvened, the day of unrest prompted some Republicans to reconsider their decision to object to the certification of votes.
Following the events of today, it appears that some senators have withdrawn their objection.
When I arrived in Washington this morning, I fully intended to object to the certification of the electoral votes. However, the events that have transpired today have forced me to reconsider, and I cannot now in good conscience object to the certification of these electors.
But some Republicans stood by their decision to object.
For those who have concerns about the integrity of our elections, those who have concerns about what happened in November, this is the appropriate means. This is the lawful place where those objections and concerns should be heard. Not through violence, not by appealing from ballots to bullets, but here in this lawful process.
After Congress certified Biden's victory, President Trump issued a statement committing to an orderly transition of power on January 20th, despite disagreeing with the outcome.